Welcome to the If You Know You Grow podcast. My name is Chantel Brayley, and I am going to be your host for the next however many minutes. This podcast has been created to help bring you behind the scenes of some incredible brands, hear some incredible stories, and make it so that it is no longer an if you know industry, because now it is all about if you know, you grow. Hello, everybody. We are back for another week, and today we have Jessy, who is the founder of Hive. I'm sure that you've heard of it. If you haven't, you're going to learn so much about it. She is the PR queen of Australia, for being really honest. Someone who's become an amazing friend over the last couple of years and a mom to two beautiful babies. So we're going to chat about all the things today. Jessy, for someone who may not know you, because I know that was a very brief introduction, I would love for you to share a bit about yourself.
Oh, thanks. I never know how to answer that question. Because like you said, I just feel like you become friends with people. So I become friends with people so quickly because I'm quite a connector.
Yeah.
And I think that relates to my job.
Yeah.
Being a publicist, we just like connect people constantly. So who am I? I'm Jessy. I'm a mum of two. I started Hive. Oh my gosh, I think we're 7 years in now. Mm-hmm. And before that, I was actually a beauty therapist working in salon.
Yeah.
And I decided that I couldn't keep waxing or doing spray tans, for my next 50 years of work. What was I going to do? And I kind of looked at the marketing girlies and what they were doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks fun. So I started to transition working brand side with beauty brands. I worked for Dermalogica as a account manager. Mm-hmm. And that's where I really thought, you know what, I think I need to jump ship, maybe change careers.
Yeah.
So I went back to uni, started studying, did not finish my degree in marketing and PR, got 3 years in and was getting hands-on experience at the time.
Which is, I hate to say it, more valuable.
Well, I also think that's the beauty therapist in me, as in I just learn faster by doing rather than reading. Anyway, I was also a mature age student. So for me, I was like, I just need to work and study because I couldn't afford to live in Sydney just studying.
Yeah.
I didn't have family here. Yeah, like it was just all too expensive. So landed a full-time job in PR, loved it, was also so busy with that job that I was like, I've just got to let the degree go. So I got 3 years in, let it go. And then, here I am now with Hive. I decided that I would open Hive because I wanted to offer brands transparency. Mm-hmm. I guess I find PR, and I'm sure you're used to this because you work with so many amazing founders, PR is so different to say like having an ads agency or having a UGC agency. It's not like you put money into PR and you know exactly what you're getting back. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to create an agency where we gave brands transparency around like what is going on in this space and educating them. Mm-hmm. Without that gray area or that uncomfortable, because people give agencies a lot of money, but then they're like, oh my gosh, we're not getting the results. Let's let them go.
Yeah.
So that's why I started Hive, or why I went out on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes total sense. And I think PR, and we've actually had this conversation before. Some people see it as like, oh, it's the nice to have, but I think most agencies will approach like one tiny snippet of it. And it's like, you can't have just the press side of it. You can't just have the seating. You can't just have the events. You need like a 360 view. Yeah. And I think you've done an incredible job of that with all of the brands. And I think there is a reason as to why, like when I say PR queen, like you've been behind some of the most viral campaigns in the last couple of years, and not taking away anything from those founders because they're insane. Yeah. But like the PR was the holistic term PR was such a big part of those brands going viral that, it's great for you to have something viral, but then what happens with it after that moment? And I've watched you come in time and time again where I'm literally thinking of like Rach Wild and what it would have been like during the short mini and that whole situation and how it was already viral. And I'm like, you would have just pumped it full of steroids and it would have gone next level. What have been the biggest highlights over the last couple of years? Because I'm like, I don't want to chat about your highlights. I want you to chat about them. I'm just fangirling here.
And I know when I got your questions, I was like, oh my gosh, where do I start and who don't I leave out of this? Because there have been so many. And I think the role of a publicist is really interesting, or at least at Hive it is, because there isn't one brand that hasn't done something amazing that we don't love. I think when we put our name to working with a brand, we want to be just as excited with that brand as they are with us and what we achieve. So obviously most recently like Booth Hair Care and the launch of that, insane. And being a part of that, like you said, we are one cog in amongst a huge turning machine. We definitely don't do the content, but do we speak to the content team about ways that we can potentially leverage media? Yes, of course. Yes. But it's not necessarily always our idea. It definitely isn't. It's a whole team, and going along that journey was so incredible. Yeah. But then if I think back to my early days doing a runway show for an Australian fashion label called Aqua Blue during COVID, and we still got 200 people, that was still such a milestone for me. And I think also growing Hive to what it is now, I can't believe I'm 7 years in, because I often still think of myself as a solo person in business in the early days when I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. But now if I look at it, I'm like, we're a team of 7 and we work with some of Australia's most amazing brands that are going viral every second. So that's also a highlight too. There's too many highlights.
Yeah. And I watched you continuously work with brands. I think like, I didn't intentionally wear the Bang and Bod colors, but it kind of feels that way right now. Like I think about the consistency you have with the brands. And I know like, I feel that I can say this because Priscilla will say this, like you've been such an important part of their business and you've been there since day one. I think, was she your first client?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was her first client as well. So like,
crazy. Yeah. Like first, like external. Yeah.
I had other clients, but I was still very much in like my freelance world.
It's different.
It's so different.
So different.
And when Priscilla, and I can definitely say this on record, when Priscilla first contacted me, I thought she was a hoax. I honestly was like, what do you mean? She contacted me off Like-Minded Bitches Drinking Wine.
Yeah.
We set up this phone call. I remember exactly where I was on the day in my now husband's like apartment. We had only just gotten together. You know, when you take a phone call and you're like, this feels weird, is like someone setting me up here. Yeah. One, her name was Priscilla, which is very unusual in Australia. And she was talking about this yellow tube, and I was like, oh, so do you have like a website? Do you have an Instagram? And she had an Instagram, but it had no photos of this so-called firming lotion that she was talking about. And I was like, this has to be a hoax, this phone call. And we kept talking for maybe like 3-4 months before she physically had a product, because her production line kept getting pushed out. So honestly, at first I was like, this girl is just pulling my leg. This product will never come to life. And then sure enough, look at it now. And we've been on that journey. I think she's 6 years in now, 6-7 years.
I feel like it's kind of, it's like the same thing.
Yeah. So it's been so nice to be on that journey and see that brand grow.
Yeah. And doing something hard, because for the longest time it was just the one product, but it is such a big cult product. Like, just,
well, she started with one product and I think we didn't have a second for at least 9 months.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And then Naked Sundays was a different like kettle of fish, if that's what we want to call it. We launched them to market in Jan 2021. We still work with them today, and they initially launched with 2 products. And initially we didn't actually talk about Sam because she didn't want to reveal who she was. She wanted the product to stand on its own 2 feet until 8 months down the track. So like those are 2 very different strategies and how they launched to market and like where they are now.
Yeah. I think that like, just if you're listening in, if you think like, oh, I don't know anything, because, you know, I have people who aren't in the industry that listen, like there's no way that they've not seen a campaign that you've touched. And I think that, I'm sure you are proud, but you should be so proud of that. Like so many of the, like, just insane, like even the work that you just did with Girls with Gems, that was so well executed. That event looked amazing.
It was so much fun.
Loved it. Yeah. I loved it so much.
I didn't so much do too much on that because I was on technically maternity leave for that one. I did attend on the day because I was like, I can't miss this. Yeah. It was such a fun event to see the girls like bring to life. It was honestly, another
Such a good thing.
Pinch myself moment of like brands that we get to work with.
Before we go into something that you've just said, I actually think that you have such a good team too. I don't know if you'd know this, but like my first job in industry was in a PR agency.
Oh, I didn't know
it was
that.
in Culver City. It was Fingerprint Communications, which like we had Kardashian Collection, all of those things. And I was like fresh faced, 19 years old, seating press, like completely. It is tough, you know, and your girls like, I'm sure that they get stressed because it happens, but like they always look so happy. They're so put together. They're like on point at the events. Like, you've done such a great job of building that team. And I think that is like an incredible thing for you as a leader.
Thank you. At the moment, we have an incredible team.
Yeah.
And look, some of them have been there now 2 years. Some of them started as interns and have kind of like worked their way up. And it's so nice to see someone's growth.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there are stressful moments, but seeing somebody be able to, like, you know, 1 month they're incredibly overwhelmed or stressed about something in particular, but then the next time that hits them, how they approach it with such ease.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice seeing how, you know, from month to month there is so much growth. And then if you look at that on years, you're like, wow, I can't believe you've gone from, you know, the intern to coordinator to publicist now.
Yeah. I think like them having that opportunity is just going to be so huge. And PR is really, I think it sits within a lot of like marketing, e-com, social media, to where you will be like absolutely shattered, destroyed by the end of something, but you know you picked the right career when you're like, I can't wait to do that again.
Yeah. I also think if I look at my girls in particular, who can say that they get to work with these incredible brands, and not just one, they're not in-house, they get to work with multiple brands, you know, in a week, and get to work on incredible campaigns. And some of, like, I look at the brands that we do have and I think to myself, oh my gosh, this is, you know, what anyone in their marketing girly career would dream of.
Yes.
I don't think we give ourselves enough credit sometimes.
No, especially only a team, if you've only have 7 people, like I really thought that you'd be like 20 by now, like genuinely, which is like, that's not sustainable to be at that size, but like because of your output, I thought that it was so much bigger.
Yeah, no, 7 of us
insane.
At the moment, which I love. I always worry about getting too big.
Because you feel like you're going to lose the personal touch. I get that. I totally get that. Because I think I watch brands do it, you know? You get too big and you start to lose the heart because you don't have that personal touch and connection with everything.
I think if we were to scale beyond where we currently are, my role within the business, I think, is really important, as in I love what I do. Mm-hmm. I don't like not being in the scrappy day-to-day, you know, pushing the needle. That's what I actually love. I thrive there. Yeah. I really enjoy the chaos, which I'm sure most founders are like, I hate. But that's where I find my most joy. Mm-hmm. So if ever the business was to scale beyond where it obviously is at the moment, I would need someone to kind of come in over me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person making those decisions. I want to be the person that's calling the editors or negotiating with the influencer to bring this campaign to life. Like that's where I have the most fun.
I think that makes so much sense, though, because really good founders also will do that, though. They'll get to a point where they're like, okay, I can bring someone senior into the business. I'm going to stay in NPD, or I'm going to stay in marketing, or I'm going to stay in creative direction, and I'm going to get someone else to handle all the other stuff, because that is not where my secret sauce is. Yeah. You know, like, I know that you could reconcile everything and, you know, do all of that. I don't want to say strategic, but that side of the business, but like, that's not your secret sauce.
No, and it's definitely not my secret sauce. Yeah. Like, if anyone knows anything about me, updating a spreadsheet just isn't it.
Same. This is where I know some like automations and Power BI things would be great for me, but I'm like, I will get to the point where I can hire someone else to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I actually find so funny about myself and my husband. He is so about automation, using AI. I'm like, everything is in my head. I don't know how to get it out. I just know stuff, or I just remember stuff, or I recall stuff. So trying to automate Hive has been very difficult because everything is within my brain and I don't know how to teach that.
But you also don't want to like disrupt the level of like intuition and kind of the positive chaos of the feminine energy of like the being hyper creative. So I completely love that. Like, I think a lot of times my greatest ideas come amidst the chaos, because feet on the ground, like you're feeling like there's not as I am constantly on socials looking at what customers and community are saying, because I'm like, this is the most important thing. I don't want someone to feed the sentiment and give it to me. I want to know what people are saying so that I can help create the strategy for it to be powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often think about social media in terms of scrolling.
Yeah.
People say that they're doom scrolling. I'm like, no, I'm working. I know that sounds crazy, but anything that I see, I'm like, okay, why isn't she using our product? Or how come she's not wearing our brand's clothing? Or how do we get to her? Or, you know, I'm constantly, as I scroll, I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, she's using our product. Quick screenshot it, send it to the client, tell them that you've seen it. You know, it's not a doom scroll for me.
No, it never, or even like, oh, they've posted something, but, you know, I need to change the way that I do the thank you card because this vital thing was mixed, or like, oh, you know, the unboxing wasn't really an unboxing. What could I have done? Like all of those little connection points, because that is your data feed. Yeah. It legitimately is your data feed. Yeah. Yes. So a couple of questions ago, you said technical maternity leave.
Yeah.
And I want to chat about that because I think, you know, you've inspired me with what you've done because it's been a little bit non-traditional from what people would do. So with your beautiful babies, can you please share how you've approached, you know, taking maternity leave and running a business and doing all the things?
Yeah. Great question. So I had Leo, who is now 20 months, 18 months, so a year and a half old. And I suppose my piece of advice for anybody out there who wants to have children and run a business is, it's so cliche, but they say it takes a village, and it definitely does. And being in Sydney, we don't have family here, Michael and I, but we are lucky enough to run our own businesses. So we do have the flexibility in that respect, although we also then on the flip side have this immense pressure to make sure that it works. So firstly, when we had Leo, I didn't really, being my first baby, didn't know what I was going into. And we had this idea, well, Michael definitely did, that we were going to get a nanny. And I was like, no, we can do this. And for the first 3 months, we juggled between halving our days. So essentially, like, Michael would have Leo in the morning. I would have Leo in the afternoon, and whoever wasn't on Leo was working. Now that became incredibly stressful between us because things then, you know, fell into his time or fell into my time. And I was like, I need to be on. And you know what PR's like, you have to be on.
When it happens, you have to roll with it. Yeah. And the thing is, not always everything is important, even though it's important to the person, but it's always urgent.
It's always urgent. Even if it's not the ER, it is.
Yeah. We're not saving lives, but really we are.
We are. So initially it was a lot of like calling parents to fly in and help us. And then it was that we needed a nanny full time.
Yeah.
So going into baby number 2, we've just had Frankie. She is 3 months. Name. Oh, thank you. I also went into this knowing that this would be my last baby. I think me in pregnancy, whilst this is so, like, you shouldn't ever say this, but I just don't enjoy pregnancy.
I have so many friends who would agree with that. Like, I think that's not a negative thing. It's like, it's acknowledging the fact that it's tough on your body. Like, it is so tough. You're literally growing a human being.
Yeah. And I think it took me a long time the first time to fall pregnant. So to then say you don't like pregnancy when it took 3 years to get there is like, I'm like, Jessy, you should be so grateful. And I was grateful. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
The non-control, the inability to do certain things. I was like, I just want to, you know, go and run a marathon at work, but I can't because I have to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So going into having Frankie, I also knew that it was going to be my last. So in this case, I definitely created separation between me and work so that I could be at home with Frankie and have a maternity leave in comparison to Leo, which I kind of worked through. It has been easier, I suppose, creating that separation. I also suppose the business is in a different 1,000%. Yeah.
And you made the conscious choice too. Like you had the choice the first time, you had the choice this time.
Yeah. And I've been here before, as in I did baby number 1. I was able to juggle it to some extent with a lot of help from my husband and a nanny and our family coming in time and time when they got phone calls. But this time I was like, I don't want to put that on so many people this time. Also, Michael's business is in a different position now as well, where he's actually needed a whole lot more. So I also had to give him that flexibility because he was so supportive last time, and now I need to do the same and support him on his growth and where he wants to go. So this time I took bigger step back than I've ever done before and took the maternity leave, which has been so nice. And now I'm slowly like turning back on for certain things. Like I said, I went to the Girls with Jam event. We always have had Booth with Jack Steele last week.
So cool.
So fun. And again, as if I would ever want to miss out on that. So I was like, I have to. But I suppose now we have in place, you know, a nanny full time to be able to allow us. Whereas with Leo, we hadn't. Well, I hadn't. Michael had definitely decided that we were getting a nanny, but I hadn't fully grasped that yet and probably was fighting with, no, we can definitely do everything when in reality you can't. I think to be able to work and have babies, you have to know that something is going to drop, whether that's your social life, whether that's, you know, you don't breastfeed for as long because it's impossible when you're on demand or having, you know, 3-hour blocks. So for me with Frankie this time, I was like, I want to breastfeed for as long as I can because I didn't do that with Leo. Yeah. So this time that's what I'm going to do. So to do that, there are certain things that I definitely can't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just reframing that, right? It's just understanding like what your levels of, you know, expectations or wants are. But we're also in, like you, a very unique position in that when you run your own business, you do have that flexibility.
Yeah, you can choose. And I think that's the reason why I'd asked part of that is because I remember like news articles coming out about what you were doing. Yeah. And like, I think in a way it's newsworthy because it's progressive because again, it's the choice as a woman to be able to do this. But I don't think that your choice should have been deemed newsworthy. You know, it's kind of like this bizarre thing of like, I love empowering the choice, but also like, this is such a big deal. Like you got a fair bit of press for it.
Yeah, I did. Same with when Michael took my last name. I don't know if you know that.
No, I think I did know that.
I think that's when we first like really connected.
Yeah.
So Michael took my last name and that also got a huge amount of press and then this and I was like, oh my gosh, is everything that I do really unconventional? Yeah. What is this? I also think, as I said, because I had a close friend say, oh, Jessy, I want to do the same thing as you, but she has a full-time job. And I was like, you have to understand that if I had a full-time job with somebody offering maternity leave, I would take it.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing, but like that's just, I have my own business. So it's very different to just going offline and having nothing to do with it and walking away for 6 to 12 months. So I kind of had to sit there and go, these news articles are great, but the perspective was like that I just hopped back into my job, but the job was my business as opposed to just going back and working for somebody else.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like that is something that I love. We have the privilege in Australia of having the time off. And I also love team members that have an ownership mentality. But like take the privileges that you have when you have those benefits. Like this is like complete sidebar, but I remember in America, so annual leave doesn't legally have to accrue. So it caps out at a certain amount of time. And I used to call my American team members and say, you are almost up to 110 hours of leave accrued. It's going to stop accruing. I need you to take leave because it's an entitlement. Like I love that you're passionate and I love that you're here, but you need to have boundaries and balance. And if you can't find those boundaries and balance, like you're really going to struggle as you get like, I mean, I've had struggles of needing to learn boundaries and balance. Yeah. So
I think we all have. Yeah. And good on you as a leader saying, can you please take some leave? Because it's very unusual, you know, for someone to say that to you.
Yeah.
So well done to you for doing that.
So many of the things that I've learned, it's because I'm like, I was the problem and I'm trying to share with you to not be the problem. So please go help yourself.
Yeah, I think I have a problem with boundaries too. And recently I called my team on a Friday because we work from home on Fridays. And I said, guys, from 2:30 on Fridays, you're all logging off moving forward. It's called Summer Fridays. It's happening because you are going to burn out.
That's such a great PR thing. I love, like I had Summer Fridays in there. And then of course you would know that the name Summer Fridays kind of came from that era. So I love that. Yeah, Dish does Summer Fridays too. As an organization.
Yeah, it's so clever. Also, I was just like, look, you know what? If you're going to be paid your, 38 hours. So if you want to work till whatever that time is, go for it. But otherwise, log off because there are going to be times where you are needed much longer hours because we're in campaign mode. Maybe there's an event.
We're traveling to another state.
Totally. But if it's a quiet week, log off.
Yes.
You need time to recoup because otherwise you cannot perform at this level all of the time. You can't.
No, especially being creative, and I think being so people centric, like
there's a lot of
it's
personalities.
A lot. There's a lot that comes along with that. I think we touched on this a little bit, but I feel like we didn't go in as much. So I'm going to bring it back to here. But brands, I talked about brands like feel like it's this nice to have thing, right? We spoke on, and I shared my opinion, it needs to be 360. But when people are having to choose, what do you think where do you see the biggest impact, or, can they choose, or what does this look like?
Yeah. I think when we look at strategies or what we're currently seeing within the market, if we went back to pre-COVID times, you could probably pick and choose between like media, influencer, event. I think now you can't choose because they kind of overlap. They cross-pollinate.
Yeah.
So I think you need to kind of do all of it because now the consumer is sitting in so many different spaces. They sit on Instagram. They also sit on TikTok. We're also getting news on TikTok. So you kind of need all of it all in one.
Yeah.
Which is also really hard because I also understand that some businesses don't want to put their budget there. The one thing I would say is if you're looking at having a publicist or a PR team support you is making sure that you can feed them with ideas.
Yeah.
If you can't feed them with ideas, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to wonder what your agency or publicist is constantly doing because they can create ideas off things happening, but you have to have either like posted that for us to like leverage, told us about it. So you have to feed that machine. It's the same as like ads. You have to feed it with content.
It's when people are meta reliant. I'm just like, you're missing the rest of the funnel.
Yeah. So I think the strategy is, and it obviously comes down to the brand, the demographic, where are they sitting? Like maybe they're not even on TikTok, so therefore do you need the influencers and you just need press?
Yeah.
Then sure. So where's the demo?
Yeah.
Where are they sitting? Then like pull that back and be like, okay, can we feed the publicity team to bring this to life, to further amplify what we're already doing?
Yeah.
That's when you're going to see the most success for brands.
And I think even having the synergy of like, okay, your publicist got you press. Now what are you going to do with it?
Yes.
Because, I had one of the biggest press moments ever in my career. So the first image Gigi Hadid ever had being pregnant was in a Petal and Pup dress. And it was like by accident, right?
That's insane.
She just happened to, insane. However, the dress wasn't in stock. Yep. And yep. Yes. So
did we put it on back order?
We put it on back order. However, this is COVID, so 12-week recut period, right? And because we didn't have the publicist relationship that we needed at that time, we were able to contact a couple places retroactively for them to credit us with that product, but we weren't able to be forward planned. And that is like literally the dream. And then like later, a couple months after she had the baby, she was like wearing some of the products in TikToks as well. And it was such an example of like all the work was done internally by the team to do the seeding, and that was a glory moment. And then we couldn't do anything with it. Yeah. So it wasn't taken to the next level.
Yeah.
So
I think Rachel Wild actually spoke about this recently. She did, this was like early days, really long time ago when TBH was in its like infancy. She did a reaction post to Abby Chatfield talking about her product on air. And initially she didn't think anything of it. She just did a reaction, like, popped her phone up.
Just kind of like fangirl because it's like, it's Abby Chatfield. Oh my gosh. And especially she's organically talking about me.
She's organically talking about it. Was like, oh, that's cute. Did a reaction video, posted on TikTok, was early days. Sent it live, thought nothing of it. And then obviously got all of these orders off the back of it. Opened up her TikTok the next day, wondering where all these orders had come from, and then saw that this TikTok had gone viral. So kind of like very early days of TikTok. She wasn't checking it all the time, wasn't aware of like what was going to happen in the background. Yeah. But I also saw that TikTok and I was like, oh my God, Abby Chatfield spoke about your product. Like, let's talk about this. And then Rach told me how many sales she had off it. And I was like, we're going to media with this.
Yeah.
And that was probably the start of our relationship of, oh, I need to feed you with information, or I need to tell you when we see something on our back end, how can then the publicists leverage it?
Yeah.
And that's where they're a perfect example in that the TBH or York Street Brands team, which have Boost Lab, TBH and Booth, whenever something happens in their back end, they text us.
They know to run with it. Yeah. That's so good.
Or they're like, Jessy, what can we do here? Or, Alana, what can we do here? They're constantly asking us for that kind of like feedback. Sometimes there's moments where I'm like, guys, we can't leverage this. We're just going to have to let it go. There's other times where I'm like, yeah, cool, let's run with it.
Yeah. That's the extension of the team feeling though. Like, and that's ultimately what you want, especially because you are so personable. I think another thing that brands also struggle with, with the event side, and I won't name the brand with this one, but I was at the Mondrian having breakfast a couple weeks ago for a meeting, right? And it was really interesting because like freaking everyone was having breakfast there. And my friend was from out of state and she was like, is this what the Gold Coast is like? And I'm like, it's actually not. Like, you're not going to just be sitting at breakfast and have 7 or 8 of the most viral influencers in Australia just chilling there. Like, that is not in that quantity. Like, you might see one person here and there, right? But not all at breakfast on the Mondrian on a random day of the week, right?
On a Wednesday.
And it was a brand probably spent a lot of money on an event. I would imagine they actually spent a lot of money on appearance fees, but no one advised them that they should also put in, if you're paying for somebody to go, because the level of talent, some of them would have been paid to go. I don't think that they were paid to deliver appropriately.
I know the exact event you're talking about. Yeah. So continue.
Yeah. So I don't think they were paid for deliverables because I was so confused, and I ended up finding like a tiny story back after the fact. And I'm like, I should have known about this. I'm so deep in the fashion bubble. I'm so deep in the Gold Coast bubble. Like, I should have been smacked in the face with this.
Yes.
Not seen it very randomly because a micro posted because she was stoked to have been invited.
Totally.
And that's where someone will be like, oh, I wasted an event. But I love events because to me, events are actually the most economical thing you can do.
Oh, totally.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Other than I like to attend them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. You can have, 101 people uploading at any given time, and your team can also get content.
Yeah.
And you can make that content live on forever.
Yeah. It can go into literally the content can live forever, the emails that you can produce out of it. But even those 100 people, when those 100 people then come forward and like go to your Instagram, again, if we want to get into like the more technical marketing side, your retargeting audience just grew at a CPM that you at a TikTok, 4 years ago CPM.
Yeah.
So it's such an investment. And then you're building the in real life relationships. Like, relationships are such a big part of everything that happens.
Yeah. Also, you can include the consumer. I think you've worked with a heap of brands who have done this super well. Yeah. Whenever they've held an event, they invite the consumer as well. And I think there's something really nice about that, particularly now. I think post-COVID, we're all a little bit over just the influencer event. So I think the best way to leverage that now is like invite the community, get them involved. They want to be there. And it works so well. Again, like, how can you invite that community or that customer in to the, the glossy, the fluffy part of your business?
And I think NH probably over indexes in ways that maybe not all brands do. I think you did 2 amazing events with us, 2 of our biggest events we've ever had. And 50% of that guest list was actually for the community.
Yeah.
And they were for consumers. And like, it worked so well. And it's funny because I have created like personal relationships with people in that community. And it's that level of advocacy is unmatched.
Yeah.
And it's also just fun because you realize how much your job is someone's dream job, and they get to step into your shoes for 5 minutes. And granted, they're only seeing the highlight reel, but what a cool thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. Also, that person, even a micro creator, I often think about this about Leah from Girls with Gems. I know she's quite large now in terms of her following and reach. But before, if we go back to 12 months ago, I did a podcast with her, and I did a podcast with somebody else who has like a huge profile, and Leah got far more downloads and interest. Yeah. So someone with a smaller following, or even just that community member, potentially has a much wider audience than you anticipate just because their following or numbers are lower on social.
1,000%. I love Leah. I love Girls with Gems. I feel like when I watched their content shift when I discovered them in early days, I'm like, they're going to be huge. And then watching what they're doing, like,
It's so fun.
Oh my, it's so good. I think, and especially being in the industry, seeing someone do something different, seeing someone make luxury still at an accessible price point, the work they did with Jazz Handmade going up to a size 20, like it's so cool to see and experience.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, what is next for Hive?
Oh, good question. I'm actually, and like this is so off script for me, but I'm working on a heap of projects behind the scenes which actually get me so excited. I literally last night crawled into bed to Michael and Frankie on the other side and was like, I'm so excited about what we're working on, because things like that in the background, when you can see things that you know in 12 months are going to be massive, to me is what gives me like goosebumps or gets me excited and gets me inspired to be on the journey.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment I'm just really excited about some of these projects that are happening in the background that like at the moment nobody knows about, but I know that they're going to come and land.
It's hard to do that teasy thing of like something's coming, but like
coming.
You've done this long enough to where you know when you find that thing that you're like, this is going to be huge. And when we find those nuggets of, holy shit, we're onto something, like you can't not be excited because it's not like we don't have, there's so much choice in the market.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. We get inquiries all the time, which I am so grateful for, because as I said, I think of myself as this like tiny little business in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Unable to pay rent. So sometimes we get these inquiries and I'm like, I have to jump on this call. I just know it's going to be epic. And that's what really excites me. So there's lots of things coming in the next 12 months, definitely. I also think it's so nice when we do get these inquiries, seeing what the trends are that are happening within the world. Like I think the drink space is really popping off at the moment.
So much.
And it's really funny. I'm
like, I can tell you things after we're done with this because it won't be aired. Yeah.
But like you can see it from an inquiries perspective. I'm like, okay, like 24 months ago, I would have said to you the hair care industry was going to pop off, and it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And that was based on inquiries at the time.
Yeah.
I was just seeing what was coming through. So at the moment, lots of drink inquiries.
Yeah.
So
The
if you're
RTD market is hot.
Wild. So that's really cool. Like I can see that. I don't have anything immediately, maybe the Hive Christmas party, which I haven't told the girls anything. So again, like I'm dropping secrets and I can't tell anyone anything, but I'm looking forward to spending some time with the team
So good.
and having those like little wholesome moments.
Yeah. And Frankie's first Christmas.
Which is so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. I think you've built something that can often be an area that can sometimes feel unapproachable. So like approachable and honest and like transparent and like, you know, you didn't know that was where I cut my teeth, but like I've seen the evolution in PR and you're doing such an incredible job.
Oh, thanks. Well, I appreciate you having me on and giving me space to chat.
Yeah, of course. I will probably have to have you back on again because I feel like we could keep talking. But thank you so much.
Pleasure.